background on who I am. I'm a chartered professional accountant. I have had, over 15 years of experience really deep diving into the numbers, as well as digging into the relationship people have with money. Hi, Mike. So today I wanted to talk about how we can go about understanding our relationship to money and really honoring that, number one, we have a relationship with it, and how we can really get clear on reducing our money anxiety, because it's nothing like a pandemic to go ahead and make us feel all of the feelings as it relates to money. And depending on who you are, naturally you may feel like avoiding your money, or you may feel like you need to hoard all of your money. Wherever you are, that's okay. So I am a financial empowerment coach and a CPA, and I really work, it is like my life's mission to help people have a nourishing relationship to money. I help companies and humans stand in their power, really honor allowing in more revenue, keeping more profit, and releasing their shame around money. And all of the things that have been happening right now really have us checking in with what is happening with our money. So getting back to basics, reducing money anxiety to me begins with getting clear that we have a relationship to money in the first place. So often we've not been taught to think that money is something we interact with in a very honorable and fluid way. It's just something that tends to be around us. We're not taught about it in school. We just kind of ignore it. It's there. The idea with society is that the more you have, the more successful you are. And I really want to change the story on that. I want you to really honor the fact that your relationship with money is a choice. Just like a relationship with your spouse or your kids or your friends, you really have to honor and work at it. Same thing with your money. And so I want to talk about what enhancing our relationship to money looks like right now. And first and foremost, I want you to have an awareness that money is around us all the time, and that more than ever, as people are losing their jobs and losing their income and having high amounts of costs, that the pandemic is really a time and place for us to get clear on what we actually want in our relationship to money. So just like we have a relationship with a spouse, it needs nurturing, it needs time, you have to have honest and open communication, the same thing with money. And so I want you to consider that. What is your relationship with money like right now? And how can you be improving it? So number one, think about how you grew up with money. Did you hear a lot of things like money grows on trees, it's hard to come by? All of that is really important on how you view money right now. And as the society around us is crumbling with this pandemic, all of those fears can really be escalating. And so I'm here to tell you that we get to have some choice in how we see our money. And that may feel strange right now, but stay with me, because our relationship needs work, it needs nurturing. So showing up and saying, first and foremost, that you recognize you have a relationship to money is number one. And knowing that you share money with someone else, whether that's a business partner or a spouse, and really getting honest about your relationship with them and getting honest about how you spend money and how you call in money is so important. This is not your regular, follow these steps with numbers and things will change. No, my whole perspective on this is that money is rooted in three areas: mindset, strategy, and energy. And all around that, there's strategies that integrate with numbers, but you can't fix money trauma and money problems with numbers. That's why people can't stick to budgets. Budgets feel restrictive and they're not fun. And so part of it is really getting clear on how you view money in the first place and how you share money with other people. So this is your opportunity right now to say, number one, I'm going to see it differently. I'm going to recognize that I have a relationship. I'm going to have honest conversations with myself and whomever I share a budget with about what I actually want in relationship to money. So first of all, I want you to get clear on what things don't feel good for you right now and why that's happening. Really honoring the fact that we can get our power back with money, that in a pandemic, we can feel out of control, and we need to get our control back with money starting right now. So I have this concept I call holding space. And what it means is we don't judge, we don't try to change things, we just let things be and we observe them without getting too emotional. And that's exactly what I want you to do in your relationship with money right now. I want you to get honest, and I want you to look at what things are working well, what things aren't, and take your power back and say, now, today, I'm drawing a line in the sand and I'm going to make some changes that honor my relationship now that I know that I have one. And do the same with your spouse and say, what things are really working well for us? And not to place blame or attack yourself or attack your partner, because that's what usually happens when we're in marriages. Opposites attract, or if we're in any kind of partnership, often opposites attract. So that can bring a lot of emotional charge and really us wanting to attack the other person. But I want us to pause all that and hold space and really get clear on, in a time of pandemic, in reducing money anxiety, we need to get back to basics. We need to understand what we want more than ever in our relationship with money. So take an inventory and say, what things have been working well for us? What things don't feel good, and what do we need to shift? And then how can we work together as a team to figure this out? So there's a lot of work that can be done here. There's no quick fixes in money, but what I can tell you is we don't fix money work by working solely on numbers. It's more than that. So we have to honor the feelings that come up. And so if you've been finding yourself in this pandemic really overwhelmed emotionally, that's entirely normal. All of us are feeling that way. That is the human experience. Everyone has money trauma and money shame, whether you have negative dollars and lots of debt or millions of dollars in the bank. I can assure you, over the last decade of working with people, that we all have money issues, whether it's mindset or systems or ignoring it and being an ostrich and putting our head in the sand. A relationship to money is unique like a fingerprint. So really honoring that first and foremost, and holding space for where you're at and how you've been spending or how you've been earning is everything. So getting clear on that and saying, hey, I have an awareness of what I want. And then next is to get honest about where you go from here and taking your power back and taking your control back and advocating for yourself. So really saying, like, off that list of things that are working well and things that aren't working well, what can I do to advocate for myself? And some of them right now, like if you have, a business and you have rental costs, really honoring the fact that you need to make a list of all of the expenses that you can't control right now and say, how can I advocate for myself? Can I talk to my landlord? Can I go ahead and look at some government programs and see what cash is available to me? Instead of putting our head in the sand, we're going to take our power back and advocate for ourselves and really take an inventory of what's coming in and what's coming out. And as that's popping up, to really get clear with the emotions that are coming. And so, yes, you can do a numbers exercise, but pivotal to me in honoring our relationship with money is knowing what feelings come up and not trying to change them, to instead document them. So if you're looking at your costs and saying, I am completely overwhelmed with this cost right here, to do something for me. And it may feel a little weird off the start, but I'm telling you, it will serve you so well in your money toolkit going forward, is to just sit with it and put your hand on your chest and ground your feet into a floor or, wherever you are, and to say, what am I feeling? And what is this showing me? And to not change it, to simply document it. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, why? And to write it out. We've not been taught to think of money in this way. And what better time when we feel out of control with our relationship to money to show up and do the work for ourselves. So when I'm talking about the mindset work of money, this is exactly what I'm speaking of. To get clear on the emotions that are coming up so that we can have an awareness of them. So if we tend to want to be overspenders, we can go ahead and look, and when we're falling into that pattern, have an awareness to be like, oh, there I go again. I'm overspending, and asking ourselves why that happens. Our body is so knowledgeable and we always ignore it, especially in relation to money. If you're feeling resentment in your gut or you're feeling sweaty palms, it's an invitation to ask yourself what's up. And often it's rooted in a past story. And what I mean by that is an event in our past. As children, we take on so much. Our subconscious is being formed, especially through the pivotal ages of like 7 upwards to 14. Studies say different things, but that's a pivotal time. We're listening and taking in how our parents are interacting with money. Our teachers are telling us about things, our coaches, our, whomever our influencers. We're learning about money stories. And that's exactly the lens in which you have today. And it often lives so fully in your subconscious, you don't even think about it. But this exercise of getting in touch with your emotions allows you to see it differently and allows you to have some control when you feel out of control. Oh, here I go. I'm feeling angry. Why is that? And asking yourself, because the knowledge is from within. And if we can start seeing themes, we can know how to change them. So I'm going to use myself as an example. So when I was 6 years old, I went shopping with my mom, and it was just my birthday. I got this cute little purse that had cherries on it. I'll never forget a clasp on top. And we went to the store to buy some clothes. And I tried on a bunch. I went out of the change room and I came back, and that little change purse was gone. And inside that change purse was like $150 worth of bills. And for a 6-year-old, that's like a bazillion dollars. So I said to my Mom, do you have my purse? And she's like, no. And she said something that was really pivotal. She said, money leaves you. You have to be careful. And, as an adult going through life and really leaning into this idea of conscious wealth, which is what I'm speaking of, these pillars of digging into your mindset, I really started realizing that that's the lens in which I saw things, that money left me all the time. And so that's a belief system that I took on from that event. But as adults, we get to choose what we think. And part of that work is discovery. And part of that work is understanding what things we hear inside of ourselves and to document it out. So then we have an awareness on if we want to choose it. And tomorrow I'm doing a money training called the Money Reset, how to really deep dive into your money in a pandemic. And we're going to focus on those 3 zones. So Team Money Boss in the comments has gone ahead and put that there. It's tomorrow at 11:30 Mountain Standard Time, 60 minutes of training, 30 minutes of Q&A, so that we can deep dive on honoring our relationship to money with mindset and strategy. So getting back to this idea of strategy right now and advocating for ourselves, it's great that we have an awareness, we can understand our emotions, we can work on taking our power back. But we can also shift that strategically to say, what are all my costs and how can I go about optimizing them? So if you're in a situation where you have credit card debt, number 1, don't shame yourself. Get curious about it and say, now more than ever, I can advocate for myself. Banks are really willing to work with people right now during this pandemic. And you might be able to call your lender or email them and say, is there a way I can get an interest-free holiday on my credit cards? So that you're really not setting money to interest and lighting it on fire. That's advocating for yourself. You can look at all of your costs, make an inventory of all the debt, the interest rates, and go about how can I minimize my interest costs so that every dollar I put towards that debt is actually getting paid to the principal. Because currently, if you're only making the minimum payment, very little money is going towards debt because interest rates are so high on credit cards, upwards sometimes of up to 30%. So really taking a look at your spending the last 30 days and going through everything and saying, is this bringing me joy right now? Do I need this? Why am I spending? And not shaming, but instead getting curious to say, there's lessons here for me to learn and to take my power back. And so all of this is just tools in your toolkit that you can use right now. If you've been feeling triggered with your relationship to money, if you've been feeling anxiety or stress, which we all have been, you can take some of these small little tools and implement them. If you haven't had an honest conversation with your spouse about money, try it. Say, I heard this lady on a Facebook Live. She talked about this idea of holding space. Let's talk about our money. Give yourself the gift of power and knowledge with money. And it all is just small inspired actions along the way. So to wrap this up, mindset and strategy and energy is relating to money. And the energy is that we don't always assume there's not enough. We allow ourselves to say like, okay, It's not working right now. This is an invitation to feel my feelings, to work through the numbers, to advocate for myself, and to believe that good is coming. Because all of that is important. If we just stay in the mindset and the lens that money is never coming, this isn't going to work, my business is going to implode, that gets us absolutely nowhere. Instead, if we get scrappy and creative and innovative to say, how can I earn money now? How can I optimize my costs and take my power back? Everything can change. So whether it's in your business or in your personal life, I want you to commit to honoring your relationship to money, to recognizing you have one, to have a different level of awareness around your emotions, and to advocate for yourself on each line item. And give yourself some joy. Don't restrict yourself so much in your budget you have nothing left. Allow yourself to buy, small, simple joys and understand the bigger impact, because we don't want to just overspend. We want to get curious about it. But daily joys are important right now more than ever. So I'm wishing you well in your relationship to money. If you have any questions, follow me at Selina G Money over on Instagram, and you can come join us at the She's a Money Boss Facebook group. And if you're interested in joining our 90-minute masterclass tomorrow, Team Money Boss, Alexa Money Boss in the comments has the link. So I hope you all have a beautiful day, and just take small inspired actions to make your relationship to money stronger and better. In a time where we feel out of control, you can get